world that are valuable often have things that try to mimic it, right? Or there's always, seems like things that are valuable, there's also a counterfeit to it, right? The things that are real and valuable, it's like we seem to, someone always comes up with an idea to try to make something that's similar to it, but it's not it, that's counterfeit, that looks like it, maybe even feels like it, but it's still not it. One of the classic examples, obviously, of that in our world is money, right? We have money, and we know what money looks like and feels like, but there's also people out there that are making counterfeit money. Money that looks like real money, but it's not, right? It's different, right? And it doesn't have the same stuff, it's not made of the same stuff. It doesn't have the same markings maybe. They try to make it look exactly like it, but there's always something that's a little bit off. And so there's this counterfeit money that's out there that's being tried to thrown off, and people try to use to spend, right? And the funny thing about, money is that, we want the real stuff, right? Unless we're a criminal, we want to have the real money that will actually, which is actually valuable, right? And not the fake stuff or the counterfeit stuff. We want the real thing. And interesting thing about money as well is that, does the paper money that we have, is it in itself valuable? No, right? It's like, I looked it up, it's like 10 cents to make, a bill, right? So in itself, it's 10 cents. That's all it is. The materials that it goes into making that, and the ink and the paper and all that, and it's 10 cents to make a dollar bill, but it's worth much more than that, right? So the value of money is actually what it represents, not in the material itself, right? Interesting about money. Another valuable thing we have in our world is gold, right? Gold is valuable, right? And it's something we're all looking for, and we have, rings usually made of gold or jewelry and different things, right? And so gold is an important part, and a valuable part of this world. And so we also have, counterfeit gold, right? Fake gold or fool's gold, as they sometimes call it, right? And the idea that, that there would be things that look like gold, but it's really not gold, right? You go to the costume jewelry store and you buy that jewelry that looks like gold, but, after a while it begins to tarnish your skin, and, right, and it kind of, it's obvious after a while, okay, yeah, it may have looked like gold, but it's not, right? And so we have counterfeit gold as well, but interesting about gold is its value is in actually how pure it is, right? It's the more pure the gold, the more valuable it is. And so we want the most pure gold as we can get, right? I mean, that's what we're usually looking for, and we don't want something it's got too much other stuff in it that's not pure gold, right? We want the more pure stuff, and the more pure it is, the more valuable it is. Also, we have art. Art is valuable, right? And where is the value of art? Where does it lie? Is it in the picture itself? It's in who painted it, right? I mean, if we don't know who painted it, or if the person who painted it isn't famous, then oftentimes the art itself is not very valuable. Sure, we can go to the store and buy just generic art for whatever. We can take a picture or something and whatever. It's got some value to it just because it's pleasing to the eye or whatever. But the real expensive art, the real valuable art is valuable because of who painted it, right? And so we have, counterfeit paintings as well, right? People that are trying to, fake these amazing paintings that have been done by these famous artists of the past, right? And so the way we can tell the difference between a real painting and a fake painting is often through just small little brush strokes, right? If we just look really closely at the painting, we can see that this is an original painting because of the way the paint was put onto the paper, or sometimes just little things that are actually wrong with the painting, things that didn't quite work out the way it's supposed to be, and so the counterfeit sometimes is more perfect than the actual original painting, right? So in our world, there are valuable things, but anytime there's something of value, it seems like counterfeiters come out, right? and things come out that are trying to mimic the value or the beauty or whatever it is, the worth of whatever we value. And this is the same when it comes to faith. Peter, in 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 6 through 12, calls us to a genuine faith. Not a counterfeit faith, but a genuine faith. He wants us to enjoy and experience real faith. Faith that has real value. And so he lays out for us some ideas of how we can know whether our faith is genuine, whether it's real or not. Before we get into those ways that he reveals to us that our faith is genuine, there's some generic counterfeit faith types that I just wanted to just briefly mention, just to kind of get the ball rolling here a little bit. The first, and I've given them names, I kind of like to do that. You can just say, oh, well, this is what the counterfeit faith is, but not have a name to it. But names are kind of fun, right? So I got some names that I put into them, and so we can kind of walk through these each one at a time. 3 of them. First one is the roll of the dice faith, okay? The roll of the dice faith is like the Vikings fans who think that they're actually going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, it's just wishful thinking, right? It's like hope, maybe, just kind of grasping at straw. Maybe I have faith the Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl. So that's the roll of the dice faith. There's also the fair weather faith. The fair weather faith is like when, a parent of a 15-year-old has faith that their 15-year-old can drive the car from here home as long as there's no other cars on the road. It's perfect weather conditions, no water, no corners they have to take. It's just a straight shot, right? I mean, this kind of the fair weather faith. If all the conditions are right, then I have faith that it's going to work out, right? And then the third one is the faith, the I did it my way faith. And this is, kind of the faith that, says, we will all survive the earthquake that's to come as long as you do exactly what I tell you. Right? The faith is based on doing it my way, that I know the right way to make this happen, and so I have trust in my perspective. I have faith in the way I think it should be done, and so if everybody does it my way, then I have faith that we're going to be successful. We're going to survive this, right? So these are some counterfeit faiths, and we're going to look at more counterfeit faiths as we walk through the genuine faith that Peter is calling us to and addressing in 1 Peter 1, 6 through 12. So if you have a Bible, you can open up to 1 Peter chapter 1, and you can follow along with me as I read those verses. In this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that your faith of greater worth than gold, which perishes even though refined by fire, may be proved genuine and may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. Though you have not seen him, you love him. And even though you do not see him now, you believe in him and are filled with an inexpressible and glorious joy. For you are receiving the goal of your faith, the salvation of your souls. Concerning this salvation, the prophets who spoke of the grace that was to come to you searched intently and with the greatest care, trying to find out the time and circumstances to which the Spirit of Christ in them was pointing when he predicted the sufferings of Christ and the glories that would follow. It was revealed to them that they were not serving themselves but you, when they spoke of the things that have now been told you by those who have preached the gospel to you by the Holy Spirit sent from heaven. Even angels long to look into these things. All right. So 3 ways that we can know we have genuine faith. The first is we can know we have genuine faith if it endures suffering. Genuine faith is based in reality. Genuine faith is based in reality. It is not a fantasy land. it's not wishful thinking. It's not some distant hope. It is based in the reality of this world. This world has suffering. And as a result, genuine faith must be able to endure suffering. Genuine faith is based in reality. This world is real, but we also know there's more that is real than what we see. We believe there is a spiritual dimension as well. And so, genuine faith has an understanding that, yes, this is real and that suffering is real, but there is something more. There is something that we can't see that is real. In verse 8, the idea that we can't see Jesus, but we love him. We don't see him now, but we have this joy, right? That we have this glory in believing in him, right? And so, genuine faith is both in this reality of suffering, but also sees this reality of suffering through the unseen realities of the spiritual realm. There are, first of all, a couple of warning signs that our faith is a counterfeit. The first warning sign that our faith is a counterfeit is Christian triumphalism. Christian triumphalism is simply the idea that when you become a Christian, everything is going to go your way. We as North Americans, we laugh at that, but we as North Americans, we fall into that really easily, it seems. And some of us have actually come to faith with this thought, with this mindset. This is the drawing piece that drew us into Christ, was that we had someone come to us in a time that we were struggling and suffering and wrestling with this world and the chaos that comes from it. And then we had some Christian come to us and say, if you would just give your life to Jesus, everything will be better. Right? This is counterfeit faith. When we come to Christ, it's not going to get better. We should not expect that all of a sudden we're going to be shielded from all the suffering that this world endures. We should not expect that, our life's in chaos now, but when I pray the prayer, all of a sudden, miraculously, I'm going to be transported into this utopian life, surrounded by people who are all suffering, but me, I'm protected, and my life is just great. With no suffering and no pain, no grief, no sorrow. It's a counterfeit faith. Another warning sign of a counterfeit faith is that we begin to accuse God when we suffer. The idea that all of a sudden something bad happens and we start pointing our finger at God. Why are you doing this to me, God? Why did you let this happen? Why are you treating me this way? I mean, come on, after all I've done for you, after all I've given up for you, I went to 2 services this morning. Right? And now you're letting this happen to me? It's a sign that we have a counterfeit faith. So the question is, what is the evidence of a genuine faith? A couple of things. First of all, genuine faith is not rocked by suffering. Genuine faith endures suffering well. We as Christians, we have to give up on the notion that when we become a Christian, that we're going to be just that blessings are just going to be dumped on us. That we're going to get all these cool things are going to start happening, and our life's going to be all figured out, and all the problems that we've ever had are just going to go away. That, the enemies that we had are going to realize that they were wrong, and they're going to come and apologize to us and bow at our feet and just seek our forgiveness, and that, that we're going to get that job promotion, and that everything's going to work out well, and we're going to continue to live. We have to give up this notion. We have this North American Christian notion that says that when we become a Christian, we get all these blessings. And the blessings are always focused on today. A genuine faith accepts the sufferings that come. endures those sufferings. It doesn't shake their confidence in God. Matter of fact, John 16:33, Jesus tells us, and you guys know this verse, in this world you will have trouble. Jesus tells you this. But take heart, I have overcome the world. Jesus doesn't say, take heart, for when you pray the prayer, then you don't have to worry about suffering anymore. I'll protect you from it all. He says, take heart, for I have overcome the world. He lived through it. He lived the life. He faced the suffering and the pain and the struggle. And he lived through it. Another evidence of genuine faith is that we trust in the midst of suffering. That we believe God is with us in the suffering. That we're not pointing fingers at God. Why'd you do? We're just going, God, I'm glad you're here with me. God, I know that you're in sorrow over this as well, that this hurts you as well, that we know that God is walking through the suffering with us. We remember that Jesus walked through the suffering himself, that we have a God who understands our suffering. And so a genuine faith recognizes that God is there, and they trust God in the midst of suffering, not questioning him or accusing him, but trusting him, that he's there, that he's walking through it with them. Psalm 23:4, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. We have a God who walks through the darkest valleys with us. So genuine faith, like genuine money, is durable. Genuine faith knows that it's going to have to go through the wash a few times. Right? And just like genuine money, genuine faith is real value is in the unseen realm. It's what it represents, not it itself. The value is in who the faith is in and what the hope is in. We know our faith is genuine if the suffering in this world does not shake our trust in God, but instead draws us closer to him because we know he is with us. The next way we can know that our faith is genuine is that it endures testing. Genuine faith stands up under testing. God, and sometimes just life in itself, will test our faith. It will push us. It will challenge us. Life is not going to just let us, and God's not just going to let us kind of live this life of faith without ever kind of checking to see where our faith lies. And as that happens, those times of testing, when they come, it reveals to us who we really trust. Right? It reveals whether or not we really have faith in God, or if maybe we have faith in something else. Some warning signs that you have a counterfeit faith in regards to this testing are, first of all, trials or testing are seen as failures. Sometimes we can face trials, and our tendency is to look at the trial as this is a failure. That this has come because I've failed. That this is something to be avoided because it's failure. I mean, if I had strong faith, it wouldn't be tested, right? That's the mindset that sometimes we have. So we try to avoid trials at all costs. We ignore them if we can. We try to step away from them, and this is a false faith. This is a counterfeit faith that looks at trials as failure. Another counterfeit faith would be looking at trials as punishment. You know, that God is angry at us. And so he's going to test us now. because we screwed up, and so now, okay, now I'm gonna make you pay for that one. So here's some trial for you. Ugh, and he's kind of digging it in. Again, this is a counterfeit faith. This is not the God that we have. This is not the God we trust in. This is not the God we love. But sometimes we fall into that counterfeit faith as well. Another counterfeit faith is that trials are simply attempts to destroy us. That whether it be God or whether it be Satan or just this world, that the trial is there to destroy us. And that we have to try to stand up under it. Otherwise, life is over. Those are all counterfeit faiths. But the evidence of a genuine faith in the midst of trials is this. First of all, that trials are a blessing. The trials are a gift. No one likes this passage, but I'm going to read it. James 1, 2-4. Consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you can be mature and complete, not lacking anything. We do not like that passage because we want to complain about our trials. We do not see trials as a blessing. But we have to give up the notion that God's goal for our life is for us to get all of these amazing goodies and to have this utopian life here. This is not what God has called us to. But we as Christians, especially North American Christians, tend to fall into this trap to think that, I'm a Christian, so that means I should get all these blessings. If I pray my prayers, if I go to church, if I'm, giving money to the homeless, if I'm doing all these things, if I jump through all the hoops, then that means that God's going to pour blessings on me right now, today. We have to give that notion up because it's not true. It's not real. We have to understand that actually the trials are a blessing. That God gives us these trials because He wants to draw us deeper into a relationship with Himself. That we have a God who loves us and desires to test us so that we can see how strong He is in the midst of that trial. Another evidence that we have genuine faith is in trials. We see trials as an honor. Kind of just hinted at this a little bit, but the idea here is that God is working on us. And trials are a way for us to know that God's working on us. Right? If God never gave us a trial, it would be, I used to coach basketball, middle school basketball, right? And these kids would, sometimes I would get on them, right? I mean, they would be, you want to see me, I get passionate up here. Well, you should see on a basketball court, right? Yeah, right? So anyway, I do that in basketball, right? And so I'd be getting on these kids because they're messing up, right? I'm trying to teach them and I'm trying to motivate them to do better, right? And some kids would get upset and they would come to me, Sean, why are you all mad at me? Why are you in my face? And I says, look, because I'm in your face because I know you can do more. If I didn't think you could do more, then I wouldn't ever call you out. I would just be like, you know what? He's doing the best he can, and that's cool, and I just let you be. So be glad, I would tell him. I'd say, be glad if I'm in your face, because it means that I think you have more in you than you've been given. And this is the same with God. That when we face trials, we should realize that God's going, look, there's more in you. I can bring it out if you just let me push you a little bit. Right? If we never got trials, then God's just like, you know what? You're doing the best you can do. You just stay over there. That's great. You keep doing what you're doing and shooting those threes, air ball after air ball, right? No, we have a God who loves us, who sees potential in us, who sees the opportunities to draw us closer to Himself. And so He gives us these trials so that we can trust Him more, so that we can be drawn to Him more. So trials are an honor. That we have a God who cares. We have a God who desires for our faith to be stronger, who desires for our relationship to be closer. Philippians 1:6, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will continue it. He'll carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. God is working on us. Another evidence of a genuine faith is that in trials we see God's faithfulness. See, trials are not just to test our own faith. Trials also reveal God's faithfulness. They reveal the power that God has. Reveal that God's not going to give up on us. They reveal that he is worthy of our trust. Right? I mean, how strong would our faith be if we were never tested? Right? I mean, think about that. I mean, as soon as we became a Christian, we got transported into this utopian world where we never suffered or never had any pain or never had any trials. Would we really, really trust God? Right? I mean, it would be, we need the trials to push us to deepen that trust and that faith in him. And as we do that, we realize his power, that he is faithful, that he doesn't give up on us. And here's the amazing thing, even when we give up on him, he doesn't give up on us. 2 Thessalonians 3:3, but the Lord is faithful, and he will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one. The greater the test, the greater his faithfulness, the greater our faith. I have a friend, Perry, and his wife, Chrisanne. A little over 2 years ago, he was diagnosed with leukemia. A couple months after that, he actually died, hemorrhaged a lung, and was dead for 6 minutes. They brought him back to life, miracle upon miracles, absolutely no brain damage. His wife begs to differ. But he was saved. But they walked, he's since had a bone marrow transplant, and he is leukemia free and has been for a year and a half. But I tell you, when you talk to them about faith, I mean, I just kind of like go, okay, you guys are talking about something I have not experienced yet. They have been through it. The greater the trial, the greater his faithfulness, the greater our faith. Can we see trials as an opportunity to deepen our faith? This is how we can have joy in it. It's because we know, oh my gosh, this is an opportunity for me to dig deeper with God. This is an opportunity for me to trust him more, to love him more, to experience his love for me more. Trials and genuine faith in the midst of trials is like real gold. It's refined by the fire. And genuine faith is like real gold, and that it's more valuable the more it's been tested. We know our faith is genuine if we feel blessed when trials come, because we know God is seeking to strengthen our trust in him. The third way that we can know that we have a genuine faith is its value. That we would see genuine faith having great value. And a value that's not just in this world, but a value that is eternal. That goes beyond anything that this world has to offer. Some warnings against counterfeit faith in regards to value is thinking that faith is only valuable in the material world. We have a gospel that is being spread around this world, has been for years, hundreds of years now. that says that God, when you become a Christian, dumps material wealth in your lap, or that he wants to. And that all you got to do is ask, or name it and claim it, and you will receive these amazing blessings. Folks, this is a counterfeit faith. When we become a Christians, we do get blessings dumped on us, but they are not simply of the material world. Matter of fact, sometimes we get nothing in regards to the material world. Another counterfeit faith is finding value in the physical, basically our bodies, the physical health. Again, attached to this gospel of wealth and health, right? That when we become a Christian, then our lives are going to be perfect. And here's the deal, like I believe in healing, firmly believe in healing. I've seen it with my friend, right? Leukemia. I mean, he was dead. He came back. God healed him somehow. I don't know how that happened. Doctors are going like, what? We don't see people that are dead for 6 minutes come back and don't have any kind of, problems, right? This is not right. So I believe in healing. Sometimes supernatural healing, but oftentimes, and most of the time, probably just natural healing. I believe in healing, but here's the deal. We all are going to die. Our bodies are eventually going to cease to exist. We're going to be put in the grave. So to say that what God is giving us when we become a Christian is that we're going to have perfect health forever, right? I mean, it's just crazy, right? It just doesn't make any sense. But we oftentimes believe this or think this and get so frustrated when we just simply even get a cold. Like, God, why are you giving me this cold? I mean, I'm a Christian. I should, Yeah, it sounds ridiculous, right? But sometimes, that's, if we take that to the extreme, now, cancer, I've got cancer. What are you doing, God? I've served you my whole life, and now this? Why do I have to? Wait a second. Genuine faith can endure that. Counterfeit faith says, I've got to be healthy all the time. And another counterfeit faith is placing value in circumstances. This is the idea that, when we become a Christian, that we expect that somehow all of a sudden our position is going to be kind of lifted up in the world, right? That men are going to start look to us and, oh, wow, look at you, you're amazing, right? Or that we're going to get some new position or new, blessing in the workplace or in our family or wherever because we're a Christian. Again, this is a counterfeit faith and not something we should spend our time with. But there are evidences of genuine faith in regard to value, and those are found, first of all, by valuing eternity. 1 Peter 1:9, for you are receiving the end result of your faith, the salvation of your souls. The value, the purpose of our faith, the future of our faith is what it's about. It's the eternity. It's that our lives are going to be saved for eternity. It's that our health is going to be experienced fully in eternity, right? We certainly get blessings this side of heaven. We've talked about that. But we also have to recognize that the value in even getting blessings this side of heaven is that we have that side of heaven. It's eternity that we're living for. It's eternity that we're hoping for. It's eternity that we're placing our faith in, right? It's what we're looking for. It's the other dimension, the spiritual dimension that matters. This is real, this physical world we live in, and it has value, but it is not the only thing that has value. When you place the spiritual over it and see it through the dimension of the spiritual, then the value makes sense, right? Then it is valuable. Another evidence is that another evidence of genuine faith is that we find value in the exaltation. 1 Peter 1:7, the genuineness of your faith may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. And this is both that we would find value in glorifying God glorifying Jesus at the end, but also that we would experience the glorification as well as joint heirs with Jesus. That because we know him, that we get to experience that glory as well. So in other words, the glory that we're looking for is not what we find here on this earth. The glory that we're looking for is what we receive when we get to eternity. Next, the final evidence of a genuine faith in regards to value is value in relationship. 1 Peter 1:8, though you have not seen him, you love him. And even though you do not see him now, you believe in him and are filled with an inexpressible and glorious joy. We value above all the intimate love relationship with God. That's the goal of our faith. The goal of our faith, can I say that? Our goal of our faith is not just salvation. The goal of our faith is not just this, eternal life that we're going to get someday. The goal of our faith is that intimate love relationship with God. That's what we're striving for. That's what makes it all worth it. Eternity without the relationship with God is, I don't want to be there. It's the relationship with the intimate love relationship with God. That's what the faith is all about. And so we have to value the relationship above everything else. And here's the deal, it's a unique relationship as well. Each of us have a different relationship with God. None of it is the same, right? It's all a little bit different based on who we are personally and how he personally interacts with us. It's a unique relationship with God. And it results in a joy that is beyond anything we can see or ever experience in this world. We have to give up the notion that happiness is dependent on our circumstances. That we would learn to find joy in everything. Not because of the thing that we are enduring is joyful, but because of the person that we are connected with. That relationship breeds joy. That we would see all of this world through his eyes and through that relationship. Now all of a sudden this has meaning, this has purpose, this is a reason for joy. If we look at God through all of this, it's hard to find joy. And we're stuck having joy only in when things are good or times are good. But when we can look at all of this through our relationship with God, now everything can be joy. We can have an inexpressible joy that goes well beyond anything this world has to offer. Genuine faith, like genuine art, is unique. You can tell it's genuine by the brush strokes or the little, maybe even mistakes that have happened within, the little imperfections within the painting. Genuine faith, like art, is priceless because who made it? We are God's masterpiece. He is working in us to make a beautiful picture. And genuine faith is valuable because of him. We know our faith is genuine when what we long for most is our eternal existence in an intimate love relationship with God. Worship team, why don't you come forward, and just a couple more comments I'll make as they come. Our perspective on suffering and trials it needs to change. I think this is a real challenge for North American Christians because we're in this country where there's this relative peace. where there's this amazing wealth that so many of us, as North American, we enjoy the amazing abundance of this country. And I'm not saying we shouldn't. It's okay for us to enjoy that abundance and that security. But I think as Christians, we tend to become dependent on it. And we begin to spiritualize it. And say the reason that America is great is because of its faith in God. Or the reason that America has all these blessings is because of its faith in God. And I'm not saying necessarily they're not somewhat connected, but we need to understand that because we're Christians doesn't automatically mean that we're going to get material blessing. Just because we're Christians doesn't mean that we're going to avoid trials. And I think as North American, as USA becomes more and more less Christian, we as Christians need to begin to separate ourselves more and more from America. And begin to reset our minds around God's perspective and not America's perspective. And that we need to find a faith that is grounded in the truth of who God is and in our eternity there in the spiritual realm and not grounded in the things of this world. Because we are going to begin to endure more and more hardship. And if we as Christians, as soon as we endure hardship, go, oh God, why me, why me? Then we're going to really have a hard time. And I think a lot of seats are going to become empty in churches around America because of that. If we want to have a genuine faith, we need to recognize that we're going to suffer sometimes. Matter of fact, we should expect to suffer more than the rest. And the sooner that we can embrace that suffering, the sooner that we can embrace the trials that are going to come, the stronger that faith will be. The more prepared we'll be for whatever may be next, right? And the more joyful we will be in the midst of it. So as we sing a couple songs, I want you to just ask the Lord to, maybe he already has been picking on you throughout this message, and if he has, praise the Lord. But just ask the Lord to reveal any counterfeit faith that you have within you. Any signs of it. And that we all would be humble enough to just open up our hands and say, okay, God, I'm open. Show me my counterfeit. And then as we do that, to just pray, God, help me. Change that counterfeit into genuine faith. So as we worship, let's do that, and then I'll come back in a little bit and conclude our service.